She was a judge, though a woman, living in a land ruled by oppression and iron chariots. And yet the fate of an entire nation did not depend on mighty armies or powerful weapons, but on her single voice spoken beneath a humble palm tree. When darkness held the land, and the terrifying roar of iron chariots struck fear into every heart, hope seemed all but lost. But God raised up Deborah, a mother of Israel who wielded no sword, yet whose faith moved armies. She walked unshaken into battle, knowing the fight was not hers, but God's. This is the extraordinary story of courage against all odds, of unshakable faith, and the unstoppable power of God working through the most unexpected vessel. A story in which the glory would go to a woman.
African Stories by Ifeanyi God.
The land of Israel was in trouble again. After the death of Ehud, the judge who had delivered Israel from Moabite oppression, the people began to drift away from the ways of the Lord. The cycle that had happened so many times before repeated itself. Prosperity led to complacency, and complacency led to idolatry. They turned from the God who had brought them out of Egypt and began to worship the gods of the Canaanites, Baal, the storm god, and Asherah, the fertility goddess. They thought these false gods promised rain for their crops and fertility for their flocks, but in return these gods demanded loyalty that drew Israel's heart away from the Lord. God, in his righteousness, allowed Israel to be oppressed as a wake-up call. This time he gave them into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor in the northern region. Hazor was a powerful fortress city, its ruins today still speaking of its once great walls and palaces. Jabin's military commander was Sisera, a ruthless general with a terrifying advantage: 900 iron chariots. In those days, iron chariots were like tanks, fast, unstoppable on open ground, and deadly in battle. The Canaanites used them to terrorize the Israelite tribes, attacking farmers in their fields, burning villages, and demanding heavy tribute. For 20 long years, Israel suffered under Jabin's cruelty. This was the price of idolatry. The God who had brought them out of Egypt allowed them to feel the weight of their disobedience. But a remnant still prayed. Their voices rose like incense toward heaven, crying for deliverance. Far to the south, in the hill country of Ephraim between Ramah and Bethel, there lived a remarkable woman named Deborah. She was not only a prophetess, one who spoke the words of God, but also a judge of Israel. Unlike kings, the judges of Israel were not crowned rulers. They were raised up by God to lead, deliver, and guide the nation. People came to them for decisions, disputes, and counsel. Deborah held court under a palm tree that came to be known as the Palm of Deborah. Day after day, men and women came from all over Israel to have their disputes settled and to seek her counsel. Her judgments were fair, her words carried authority, and the people trusted her. Deborah had something rare for that time. She was a woman with both spiritual authority and national influence. In a world where men were usually the leaders in public life, Deborah stood out like a beacon. Her strength didn't come from physical force or military might, but from her unshakable trust in God and her ability to hear his voice clearly. One day, the word of the Lord came to Deborah with a plan for Israel's deliverance. She sent for Barak, the son of Abinoam, from the tribe of Naphtali, who lived in Kadesh in the far north. When Barak arrived, Deborah spoke with the authority of God's command.
"The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go, take with you 10,000 men from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun, and lead them up to Mount Tabor. I will lure Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his troops to the Kishon River and give him into your hands.
Barak knew the danger. To face Sisera's army with its 900 iron chariots on open ground was almost suicidal. But Deborah's words were clear. This was God's battle plan. He replied with hesitation.
If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go.
Some see Barak's words as a sign of weakness or lack of faith. Others see it as recognition of Deborah's unique role as God's spokesperson. Her presence meant God's presence and guidance. Either way, Barak wanted Deborah beside him. Deborah agreed, but she gave him a prophetic warning.
Certainly I will go with you, but because of the course you are taking, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman.
It was a strange prophecy. In the warrior culture of ancient Israel and Canaan, the highest honor was to defeat and kill the enemy's commander, a feat that brought fame, respect, and glory to the warrior who accomplished it. To be told that this honor would go not to Barak, but to a woman was unexpected. Yet he trusted God's plan through her.
African Stories by Ifeanyi Gold.
Barak sent messengers through the hill country, calling warriors from the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali. From the hills and valleys, farmers laid down their plows. Shepherds left their flocks. They gathered weapons, whatever they could find, and they marched toward Mount Tabor, a steep, rounded mountain rising from the Jezreel Valley. Mount Tabor was a strategic choice. From its heights, they could see the surrounding plains and valleys, including the route Sisera would take with his chariots. It was here that Barak gathered 10,000 men, with Deborah at his side. Meanwhile, word reached Sisera that Barak had mustered an army. Confident in his military superiority, Sisera summoned all his forces, his 900 iron chariots and countless foot soldiers, and marched from his base in Harosheth Hagoyim toward the Kishon River, prepared to crush the Israelites once and for all. Deborah, Barak, and the Israelite warriors stood on Mount Tabor, watching the dust rise from Sisera's advancing army. The valley below trembled with the rumble of chariot wheels and the shouts of soldiers. Then Deborah gave the signal.
Go! This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?
Barak led his 10,000 men charging down Mount Tabor into the valley. Normally, this would have been a disaster for the Israelites. Chariots could easily cut down infantry on open ground. But God had a surprise in store. According to the Song of Deborah in Judges 5, the heavens opened. Storm clouds gathered, and rain began to pour. The once firm ground of the battlefield turned to thick, sucking mud. The Kishon River, swollen by the rain, surged violently, washing over the plain and carrying debris in its rushing current. Sisera's iron chariots, the pride and terror of his army, became useless. Wheels sank deep into the mire, horses struggled, and warriors clung desperately to their mounts. What had been a force of fearsome strength became a trapped, chaotic mass. Meanwhile, the Israelite warriors pressed forward with courage and precision. They struck with fierce determination, their hearts steady and full of faith. Confusion spread through the Canaanite ranks, and the once fearsome army broke and fled in panic. The Lord himself fought for Israel that day. The enemy's power crumbled, and Israel's deliverance was complete, a dramatic testament to God's sovereignty and faithfulness. But the story wasn't over. Amid the chaos, Sisera saw that the battle was lost. Abandoning his chariot, he fled on foot toward the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. The Kenites were descendants of Hobab, Moses' brother-in-law. They lived in peace with the Canaanites, and Heber had even made an alliance with King Jabin. For that reason, Sisera believed Jael's tent would be a safe place to hide. Jael came out to meet him, her manner calm and welcoming.
Come, my lord, come right in. Don't be afraid.
she said. She covered him with a blanket and gave him milk to drink. Exhausted from the battle and believing he was safe, Sisera asked her to stand guard at the door and tell anyone who came that he wasn't there. But when Sisera had fallen into a deep, exhausted sleep, Jael moved with quiet purpose. She took a tent peg and a hammer, tools that women in her nomadic culture were skilled in using to pitch tents, yet deadly in her hands. Step by careful step, she crept toward where Sisera lay under the blanket. With one swift, decisive blow, she drove the tent peg through his temple into the ground. The blow was final. Sisera never woke. Moments later, Barak came in pursuit. Jael stepped out of the tent to meet him, her face calm.
"Come,"
she said.
"I will show you the man you're looking for."
He entered and saw Sisera dead. In that moment, Deborah's prophecy was fulfilled. The glory of victory over the enemy's commander had gone to a woman. That day, God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, before the Israelites. From then on, Israel grew stronger until they destroyed Jabin completely. To celebrate the victory, Deborah and Barak sang a song, one of the oldest poems in the Bible, recorded in Judges 5. And for 40 years after this, the land of Israel had peace. Deborah's story is more than an ancient battle account. It pulses with truths that still speak to us today. In an age when men held nearly all positions of public authority, God chose a woman to serve as judge, prophetess, and military leader, showing that his call is never bound by human expectations. Her courage flowed from her faith, and her faith produced action. Even Barak, hesitant at first, stepped forward in obedience, and God honored that step. The victory they saw was not the result of superior weapons or greater numbers, but the Lord's intervention. And in the end, a tent-dwelling woman named Jael boldly stepped into history, fulfilling prophecy and bringing an unexpected end to Israel's enemy. Deborah's leadership reminds us that God often works through those the world overlooks. Villagers turned warriors, a woman in a male-led society, a wife with only the tools of her tent. In the same way, he works through ordinary believers today, in workplaces, schools, homes, and neighborhoods, to accomplish his purposes. Your quiet faithfulness may be the very thing God uses to bring deliverance, hope, and change to someone else's life. In every generation, God calls his people to trust him when the odds seem overwhelming. Our Sisera may not ride iron chariots, but challenges still loom large. Cultural pressures that pull us from God, fears that keep us silent, and spiritual battles that seem unwinnable. Like Deborah, we are called to stand firm in truth, speak courage into those around us, and move forward when God says, "Go." Just as God fought for Israel against Sisera's army, he fights for his people now, in battles seen and unseen, in victories large and small. That same hand still moves for his people today. The real question is this: will you trust him enough to step onto the battlefield? Your faith, like Deborah's, Barak's, and Jael's, may be the very instrument God uses to bring deliverance, hope, and change in your life and in the lives of those around you.
African Stories by Ifeanyi God.